And another WrestleMania is in the books. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 51 of Under the Middle Rope. I'm your host, Jose Tabuada. It has come and gone. It is over. The weekend is now in the history books, and I mean, like I said last week, everybody knows how big of a WrestleMania fan I am, and I have to say, for the most part, it didn't disappoint. I didn't think it disappointed. But yes, we are going to now recap everything that was from WrestleMania weekend, and this episode is night one, and we're going to be splitting it two separate recordings for the fallout, because again, so much to talk about, so much content to review. So yes, you are listening and watching WrestleMania 37's fallout, night one. Pete Atkinson, RJ Stacy, and Alex Mirza. Oh, I almost forgot. Alex Mirza, we're here for night one, and of course, we're going to get them for the following night. Of course, you will see who the new Under the Middle Rope champion is. I don't want to say names, but I heard it's a really good guy. So right now, all I can say is just sit back, relax, and enjoy our WrestleMania 37 Fallout Night 1. Hey everybody, welcome to the discussion. RJ, Alex, Pete, they're all here. Nick, nowhere to be found, but he will be with us for tomorrow for night 2, as we are doing two separate recordings this time. So we feel like we can say all that we need to say and not feel rushed and against the clock, unlike last week. But like I said in the opening, WrestleMania has come and gone. All the hype is over. But you know what? I think for what it was, I gave it. I mean, I'm probably gonna say my thoughts, like my wrap up everywhere. But I do have to say, I think just to start off, I'm gonna probably give it 6.5 or 7 out of 10 for the entire weekend. I think night 1 was strong, and night 2, which we'll discuss more into tomorrow, was just really weak. Anybody have any other thoughts before I get on to the rest of it? Just really quick openers. RJ.
I mean, I'll get into what I rated it. I guess we'll do that at the end of the show, but I think I'd rate it a little bit higher than a 7 personally. I've overall had a good time watching WrestleMania this year.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really easy watching two separate nights as well. So I'm mostly happy despite the really shit build they had, but I was pleasantly surprised overall with the weekend personally.
Alex, any quick thoughts before we?
Yeah, about the same for me, honestly. It's sort of been just the 2020's sort of just been the year of, kind of lackadaisical build and, good to great payoff for most of the pay-per-views.
It's true.
I think WrestleMania was no different. I'd probably give it around a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I personally enjoyed everything. I didn't have as many issues with the, night 2, lower parts of night 2, I guess, which we'll talk about in the next episode. But, so for this one, overall, I'd say I had a really good time, and it was just a very exhausting week. I'll just say that it was a lot to watch this week.
There was.
It was.
Pete, really quick, just before we start.
Honestly, I'd probably be a bit lower than the others. I think I'm probably looking like 5 or 6. I'd give this. I think it's going to be down the line. I think it's going to be a very forgettable Mania, bar a couple of moments, but.
Interesting.
I think it's probably going to be in that same boat as things like 34, 35. I know you lot love 35 because you were there, but in general, I think it's in that same. There's some nice moments, there's some bad moments, but I think
for
it's only going to get remembered for the first show back with fans.
For what it's worth, I was doing a little. Can you remember every competitor quiz from WrestleMania 35? I forgot that Dash and Wilder were on that card. So I mean, it happens to the best of us. Before we get into the breakdown of night one's matches, we do have to get to the results of the predictions, and oh my goodness, was it closer than ever. I think out of all the predictions that we've done, I know now we only do this 4 times a year, this was actually a lot of fun. The predictions came very, very close, but Nick, the guy who was a reigning champ since SummerSlam, he had it for a long time, because as Pete said before we started recording it, the man loses it and he doesn't show up. How pathetic. But instead, I can now begin to call myself Mr. WrestleMania of the podcast.
Okay.
The boy is now 2-0 at WrestleMania. Let's go to that beautiful predictions board one more time. Again, night 1 was fairly bad. A lot of people got a lot of stuff right. I do feel bad for Wolf because he was really struggling after night 1, but we all got Bunny and Priest across the board. Alex and I got wrong with Shane McMahon. We all got Cesaro. Wolf picked Seth. everybody completely botched the women's tag team Turmoil because once Billie Kay's partner was announced, or actually rather once Billie Kay was official for the match, and once we heard it was Carmella, we guessed it was next to nothing. And then Wolf got New Day wrong. I was the only one that got Bobby Lashley right, which we're going to discuss very soon because that was still a shocking result. And then Wolf gets Sasha Banks wrong. Night 2, which we're going to go into tomorrow, but it was worse for everybody else. So just, again, a lot of like wrong answers. The Fiend and Randy Orton, we'll discuss it tomorrow. That was just a complete disaster. Wolf had Shane. Did I mess that up, that graphic? Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, I did. Wow, I said that Wolf got Shane right, and he didn't. Well, Wolf, there's an extra point that you never got, so you actually have 5. And then I guess Sheamus I got right. RJ and Pete took an ugly hit when Asuka lost, and then the main event, the triple threat. But it all came down to the tiebreaker at the end of the day, and it was an estimated time of 22:41 per our great source of Wikipedia, and thus I become now the current podcast champion. I hold it until SummerSlam. But yes, we're going to get to that. Again, we're going to get into all of that because the tiebreaker obviously was for night 2. We're going to get to night 2. And for now, we are going to start off with night 1. And I'm going to start off. With how the card was built. I think it's only fair that we just go in order of what was presented to us at the time. So the opening match that I'm going to talk about is Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Bobby Lashley retained. And a lot of people were banking on Drew to win that, but he gave up. Well, he actually didn't give up. He just kind of passed out with the Hurt Lock. That's the name of the move, right? The Hurt Lock, right? Am I going? Yeah. Anyways,
yep.
And it just surprised. I'm just surprised. I mean, I put Bobby Lashley now, but again, as we were talking last week in the predictions, I really thought. Then you guys convinced me that Drew was going to win because he was going to be the first one to come out. And it was an hour delay. It was about a half-hour delay, too, with the weather issues. That was some WrestleMania history. A rain delay to open up WrestleMania. I didn't think we'd ever hear that. But the rain delay, and then Drew comes out, and then just – it was a fine match. I'm not going to say it was awful. I thought it was an interesting opener. I think out of the world titles or like the big, more high-profile like title matches, one of the weaker ones, unfortunately, in my opinion. But again, I'm just surprised that Bobby retained, even though I predicted him. I would have thought something better for Drew, but here we are now at the end of WrestleMania. RJ, let's start with you with your thoughts on the match.
I thought, for one, I was expecting more of a sprint. I was expecting something, reminiscing more like Brock Lesnar Goldberg style match under in like 10 minutes. Personally, I thought that was going to be the case in this one. I was surprised it went a little longer, but I thought it was pretty good. The only real issue I have is I thought the distraction was a little weak from MVP.
The MVP. Oh, yeah, that's right.
He just kind of yelled and said, "Hey, he's coming." And then he completely stopped, and then Bobby took advantage and then won the match. I thought the distraction was a little weak. I thought it made Drew look a little dumb. And that's the only thing that I really have an issue with this match. I thought it was perfect for what it was. I wasn't expecting a masterpiece, and I had fun with it, and I'm cool with Bobby retaining. I just wonder what they do with Drew from here on.
That's what I'm wondering
personally,
too. It's just the cards were set up, and WrestleMania, like I think I was saying last week, WrestleMania was all about those big face moments, or normally the pay-per-view where the faces are triumphant, especially in a return of fans for the first time in over a year. And I don't know, Lex.
Yeah. Well, first of all, when you said the first thing on the card, I thought you were going to say the first match between Vince McMahon and God, because God decided he was angry at Vince for dissing him that one time and caused an hour delay. But anyway, I mean, going off what RJ said about expecting it to be more of a fast-paced, quicker match. I think. First of all, I thought the match was actually really good. I thought their Backlash match was better. I think it was Backlash
last year, yeah.
But I think the thing you have to keep in mind is the fact that like we said, this was in addition to the delay. This is also the first match back with the crowd. So I feel like you almost didn't have to go over the top. You didn't have to go too hard or too fast to keep everyone's attention. Even though the rain delay could have caused some issues as far as keeping the fans' attention. But I feel like for what it was, they paced it right. They didn't need to go too over the top. They didn't need to wow the fans really fast because, like we said, it's the first time they're seeing WWE wrestling in a long time. So I feel like they did what they did, and they did a good job with it. I thought. The fans were reacting to everything pretty much, so you had that going for you. But I thought the MVP distraction was fine. I think too often you have like the manager. I think it looks worse on the babyface when the manager is distracting them for like several seconds. When they're like jumping on the apron, waving their arms like, "Hey, look at me, or something like that. I feel like that's almost more cliche, and I feel like the fact that Drew wasn't distracted for that long made him actually look stronger in defeat because he wasn't turning his back for like 5 seconds, allowing Lashley to grab him from behind. He just had that momentary, just turns his head, which allowed Lashley to capitalize and beat him. So I think it showed that there's a very small discrepancy as far as like skill between them. Drew's a little bit higher than Lashley, and Lashley was able to take advantage of this momentary distraction on Drew. So and like we said, he passed out in the hold. He didn't submit, so we had that going for us. And I'm curious to see where Lashley goes now and where Drew goes now. But I thought it was a really good opener for the first Mania back with fans.
Pete,
I think you've covered it pretty well. I think this was a good match, as Lex already mentioned, obviously the stuff before it, I think actually hurt this match a little bit by all the delays and stuff because we were all ready and pumped for this match coming out. And then it's, oh, by the way, we've stopped. And as much as Vince wanted the actual real life lightning for Bobby Lashley's entrance, didn't quite get there. I'm kind of gutted by this, if I'm perfectly honest. I was so ready for Drew to get his big moment. Like, I know it's not for everyone, but he's carried Raw on his back for the entirety of the pandemic, pretty much. And I was so ready for him to get his big moment in front of the crowd. It's opening the show. You're going to give him a big pop to start it off, and then no. Whether it's the right decision or not, that's debatable, depending on which side you land on. I was just a bit gutted for him. It's an odd one for me. So I would also say with this, it's the distraction spot. I actually love the distraction spot. I kind of wish he just grabbed his leg slightly instead of yelling at him, as you mentioned. But that idea of, oh, something's happened there. Oh, no, I meant to hit the move. And it being such a split second that made the difference, as Lex pointed out, is so much better than trying to swing at the guy on the apron and stuff like that, which I hate those distractions. So I think it was a good match. It's a bit of a shame about the delay. And I don't know if it's deliberate or not. Do you know when Drew hit his three, what are they called? His version of the three amigos. Now I'm going to say
the future shock.
The future shock.
Yeah, the future shock. Yeah. The three wee laddies, as I'm going to call it from now on. I don't know if it was deliberate or not because the first one he obviously kind of botched it because he didn't hit it properly. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he went, okay, we'll do it again. And just so it's obvious we didn't do it just a second time because of that. Let's do it a third time as well. And I love that.
You got to do it 3 times if you're going to do it. Too.
Yeah, improvisation.
But if Drew needs consoling, he can come and find me, and he's always got a space with me if he wants it.
if that was a botch, though, I thought that was a really cool way to get out of it because I really like that triple DDT spot. I thought there was a chance that it was over after that. Actually, to be honest with you, not really, but it was a good enough spot that there was at least like the slightest bit of doubt for the crowd, at least. So I thought that if that was an improvised spot, that was really smart.
The only thing I also want to add is I think the pass out spot is overdone now.
For sure.
It's completely overdone. Like it's no longer has the same impact. It's more if a face actually taps, it makes them look weak than passing out makes them look strong. I now feel.
Is there really anything that wrong with tapping out?
No, not even slightly. But because it's so rare for a top face to now tap out, it almost makes them look weak to now do it because no one else does it. Everyone else passes out.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I was saying that is the Drew reacting the way that he did was the Austin Hart match from WrestleMania 13. Obviously, that was significantly better by like God knows how much, and that was more meaningful. So I kind of agree with that because I feel like now. I mean, ironically, if we do see a tap out, it's like, oh damn, like it was just that bad. I don't know. Again, speaking kayfabe wise, I don't know how crazy it would be. RJ, before we move on,
I know it didn't count, but Roman tapped at Fastlane to Daniel Bryan, and I'm not like, oh, Daniel, I'm like, oh, Roman sucks. It's like, no, Daniel Bryan's a beast. Of course he tapped out. That's a gnarly move. But I know it didn't count.
Roman's a heel.
Yeah, I know he's a heel now, so
the top face, you know. So
I hear you, but
I mean, pretty much everyone else is tapped to the Hurt Lock. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I can't think of anybody else who's gone down like that. Like even Sheamus tapped to the Hurt Lock. So I feel like
I thought a few of them.
If Drew's the only one, Drew's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody else either.
I'm sure a couple up now, but I can't remember who they are. It's kind of an odd one, but most top faces on the roster now have passed out in some way or another to some spot and submission when they need to lose. It's just to be overdone.
I was gonna say I don't mind the pass out with the Hurt Lock because I remember back when like Chris Masters used the Master Lock, like they would never tap, but people have been tapping for the Hurt Lock because I've always thought of the full Nelson as like kind of like a sleeper hold where you could pass out to it and it's fine, but people have been tapping, so it doesn't really make sense.
Like tapping out to an arm bar doesn't really make sense, but the full Nelson, I think that can work.
I mean, I felt it. It hurts. It's not a pretty move to have applied on.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, are you really gonna pass out to a full Nelson? I guess now that I'm thinking
you can't. No, it's more about pulling out your shoulder.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it.
It pulls your arms backwards. It just feels horrible.
RJ, when we hit the golf course, we'll try it, and then we'll get back to everybody. We'll see how that works out this summer. But this is where we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the women's tag team turmoil match. The winner received a championship opportunity the following night against Nia and Shayna for the women's tag team championships. Lana and Naomi, Billie Kay and Carmella, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, the Riot Squad, Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, and the eventual winners, Natalya and Tamina. But first of all, I was just in poor yet like unbelievable tears when Mandy slipped. That was just it sucked, but I don't know what was funnier, the slip or the fact that Dana kept walking as if nothing happened, and then she's reacting to the pop as if it was for her, and she's like, "Hell yeah, yeah, I'm at WrestleMania, baby." Meanwhile, Mandy's on the floor, like that got me laughing. Aside from that, this was a skippable match. I was not impressed. I'm sorry. Like there was just so many. I don't know what it is. It's just like, oh, good Lord. I mean, picking Lana and Naomi was, at least on my part, a really bad decision at the end of the day. I really thought they were going to do it, but at the same time, Natalya and Tamina made sense. I guess good for them because I don't think neither of them had like a big moment at WrestleMania, like a big significant like pop. I don't know, but they got the win. But again, this match is just easily forgettable. There's again, just felt like botch city for the most part, unfortunately. Pete.
Yeah, I was going to say every WrestleMania has its like huge bump that you take. Like last year, it's KO and from the top of the WrestleMania sign. This year, it's Mandy Rose coming down the WrestleMania ramp. But this was a bit shit. If I'm being honest, it was really sloppy. It was a really odd choice of winning for me because, in honesty, they're the fourth most interesting team out of 5 in this match. And the 5th team probably became more interesting just because of that bump before the match. So I went Billie Kay in this one. I was far less confident as soon as it became announced and not a surprise entry, and especially when they came out first. Lasted obviously longer than your picks. So yours lasted 2 minutes. So like bring out the hometown hero of Naomi and just immediately get rid of her. Bye Lex.
Take care, Lex. Have a good one. All the best. We just lost Lex. Pete, keep going, and I'll see what's going on.
Yeah, like there was nothing offensive in this match.
All right, Lex, welcome back.
All right,
yeah.
What happened?
Internet problems.
That's unfortunate. Pete, you may continue.
Yeah, I was saying there was nothing offensive in this match. Like it wasn't one of these where I went, "Oh my god, I can't believe you booked this rubbish" or anything. It was just I was so uninterested in whoever won this. And then I think you picked maybe the most uninteresting team to win this match, in my personal opinion. Going into the following night, that is the team I would have cared least about in that match. So maybe maybe Dana Brooks and Mandy Rose I would have cared less about. But are you okay there, Lex?
This is fantastic from Lex today. This is like this.
He's just doing a shout out to Mania last year when all my lights went.
That's right. If you've been watching us for a year, remember last year during the fallout. Again, we went longer than we expected as well. But Pete, it was a follow. Pete was confident in his light situation. He's like, I got sunlight. Okay, I won't turn the lights on. And then by the time that we finished recording, it was pitch black in his place. Absolutely hilarious. Lex, let's go to your thoughts on the women's
The guys are so unprofessional. There's an audio version too. You could have just no-sold it. But anyway,
we're here to have fun, man.
Just saying. Now everyone on the audio is not going to know what you're talking about. But anyway,
subscribe on YouTube.
It's I mean, this was sort of the I guess P break match. This is the in between match. It was in the right spot it needed to be in, I guess, and it gets a lot of hardworking women a spot on the card, so it fills that need, I guess. But it was about what I expected it to be. I didn't expect anything groundbreaking or I didn't expect like an in-ring classic or anything. I was happy that the Riot Squad got such a strong showing. Given that they're probably the only real like team in the whole thing, like that wasn't just thrown together at the last second. But I was surprised when Natty and Tamina won. My girlfriend actually predicted that happening, so she's smarter than all of us, I guess, in that regard. Just because they've been beating Shayna and Nia on SmackDown every week, so I don't know. But it's cool, and the following night we saw the fans pick up strangely for them to win. So it's. It was what it was. I picked Lana and Naomi just because they had the most storyline going in. But I guess in the world of WWE, sometimes your most logical inclinations don't always turn out to be correct. It was an average match. It just gave them a spot on the card and did offend me. And Mandy something was funny, but that's about it. All I have to say.
RJ.
Yeah, all I really have to say is, did anybody at any point know if it was Mandy or Dana in the ring? Because I could not tell.
Twice.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I absolutely could not tell. Like the long blonde hair, like the exact pink outfits.
Unfortunately, that slight moment where the camera had to cut away from Dana Brooke because she's having a wardrobe malfunction going on.
Yeah.
That bit I kind of realized. Yeah, that one's Dana Brooke going on. There, reaction.
I think Michael Cole even messed up at one point in time. Like it was just that.
Yeah.
But the match was what it was. It got 10 women on the card, I guess. That's the point of it. And that's all I can really say. I don't even really remember anything about this match, which tells you exactly how forgettable it was.
Yeah, again, like the only memorable moment was unfortunately Mandy's moment at the ramp, which again I have to give props to her because she went on social media, she went on Twitter, on her Instagram, just like she was taking a selfie video of herself, and Titus of all people comes in saying it happens to the best of us. I'm like, you could not have put that any better with Titus O'Neil after what happened in Saudi with the slip of a the slip of a lifetime, or the slide of the lifetime, whatever you want to call it.
If they ever bring back the Mixed Match Challenge, they can be the slip and slide.
You would assume that is going to be the next team for, like, you don't do any out of the team. Like, forget Otis, bring in Titus after the slip ups, but it is what it is. And we're just going to move on from this because I don't think there's anything else to say, because the next match definitely had way more talking points. And by way more talking points, I'm talking about maybe match of the night. Maybe, again, arguably, because I think there's a few other matches that you could say match of the night, but it was up for contention. Cesaro and Sheamus. Cesaro and Seth Rollins in a traditional 1v1 match. Cesaro gets his WrestleMania moment. The man was just proved to the world that, hey, if you give him time, if you can give him something meaningful, he can put on a heck of a show. And in fact, counting his swings, I got in total 31 swings, because he did 9 the first time and then 22 the next. So it's about 31 swings, unless you want to count the spin with the freakish athletic ability of Cesaro, putting Seth Rollins on his shoulders and spinning him around. The man's nuts. Oh, I love it. I loved it. I'm just happy for Cesaro at the end of the day. He deserved the win, rightfully so. And again, I was just so entertained by the match all around. Like this, like good comedy relief with the spins and the swings, and the crowd was so into it, counting how many swings there were. The fact that it was under 37 meant that you actually could have placed a bid or something on it, which was weirdly funny enough. But again, I liked it. I really, really liked it. I thought it picked the night right back up. after the interesting decision from the first match, and then the entire women's match as a whole. So I'm a huge fan of this, and I'm very happy that it all went down. Lex.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people had this one pegged to be the best, in-ring match of the night, and it definitely delivered. Both of them are pulling out stuff that we haven't seen them do in a while or ever. Seth with the corkscrew, frog splash, and with that step up kick to the back of Cesaro's head, and Cesaro with the doing the curb stomp into the uppercut, that was straight out of WrestleMania 31 with Randy Orton. So they both were really just showing why they're two of the best in the world, and they really pulled it off. The fans were super behind Cesaro. Seth had a new entrance theme. People weren't talking about that as much, but he had a new music. It sounded almost like a mix of his current theme and his Messiah theme. Well, that was pretty cool. But it was worked great. They built to the swings. Seth was damaging Cesaro's arms, so he couldn't swing him for as long, and just it was a really well executed, really well put together match, and I was really happy, and everyone was really happy to see Cesaro finally get the big win. Just like we were calling it when we were watching it, just liquid wrestling. Just inject that into your veins, and you'll be happy. It was two great guys doing what they do best, and no complaints here. One of my favorite matches of the weekend.
RJ.
I actually missed Rollins' entrance, so I had no idea he had new themes. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Thanks for bringing that up. And did we get a count of how many spins he got in the UFO?
I missed it, but
I was too blown away. I didn't count.
Probably about 10, 15-ish, 20.
I was gonna say 15-ish, but yeah, but like Legs, I was just laughing. I'm just enjoying everything. I'm like, ha, look at him go! I love the heck out of it.
I was watching it with my brother, and I've seen him do the UFO in the Indies, so I'm like, that's awesome that he's doing it. He'd never seen it before, so his mouth was wide open. He's like, how the hell is he doing that? He's not using his arms. This is insane. And this is when I started getting really hyped for this match. And I'll go ahead and say, I loved a couple other matches on this weekend, and I might be the only one who thinks this. I thought this was by far the best match. I thought this match was amazing. And I'm an obvious crazy Cesaro mark. He's my favorite wrestler. I've been pulling for a push for this guy for so long, but this match had some really nasty stuff in it, the reversals, some of the ways they were setting up their moves, when Rollins was holding onto the ropes and Cesaro lifted him up into it looked like he was into the neutralizer that Rollins countered out of again. There's some sick reversals. There was such good spots. Like Lex said, the story was told where he was working on the arm so he couldn't swing him, and then he got 9 swings in, and then the crowd's chanting to do it again, and then you're thinking he's got to do it again, he's got to pull it out again, and then he pulls it out again in the finish. I don't know if he actually got 22 or if the crowd just counted 22.
I counted 22. I think the table counted 20. I think the commentary team got 22 as well. I'm estimating. I'm not 100% positive, but
I did hope he was going for 37, like Pete said, but you could kind of tell at the end that he was not going to be able to get to 37. But it was still so impressive after he got the UFO in, and Rollins looked as good as he's looked in so long. I don't know if this little break that he's taken has kind of refreshed him a little bit, because he was pulling out stuff that he hasn't done in forever. He was pulling out new stuff, the corkscrew, it was amazing. I don't have many more words for it. I'm going to start rambling on. I could talk about this match for a long time, but I thought this match slapped. This match is insane. One of my favorite WrestleMania matches ever. Oh yeah. This match was amazing.
Wow.
Crazy
that's
good.
Big. That's
crazy good. I thought that, maybe that's a little bit good because they didn't really have that long of a match. If they had maybe another 5 minutes or so, this could be said as one of the better WrestleMania matches ever. But for one that was under 20 minutes, probably 15 minutes, I love this match. This match is great.
So I've been trying to find how many spins he got, but some people
got 18.
Was it 18?
I counted it if you count it properly and not how a crowd does it, where they start just counting seconds rather than spins. He got 18 on the second one.
Lex, everything okay so far?
You enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I think I fixed. Yeah, no, I think I fixed it, so don't worry about it.
Okay. I got while Lex was talking earlier, I was the one that broke Pete, which is normally the other way around, which is great. Pete, your thoughts on everything and why?
It's just the way that was said. This was obviously, as everyone said, this was fantastic for the time it got. I love the UFO spot. There was the stomping of the uppercut. Love that spot. And as Lex pointed out, this match was just so liquid. I mean, it was so liquid. I'm surprised there wasn't an evergreen board trying to block off the center of the ring. That's how liquid this match was going at the time. But RJ's picked up on my point there, where the thing stopping this probably being my best match of the Mania weekend, and probably stopping it being like a Mania Classic, is it was too short. It was 11 minutes.
Yeah,
and
It was 11 minutes.
Yeah, I think this needed.
I thought I was just liking it too much that it flew by. To be honest with you.
no, it's 11:35.
No,
That's
11:35
per Wikipedia, of course.
Okay, I maybe I'm talking it up too much, but fine.
Yeah, like that was it. But for what it was and the length it was like the best match you could have possibly maybe put together in that time span. But for me, it just needed another 5 minutes, another 10 minutes.
Lex, are you okay? Lex?
Hello?
Hello? Is everything okay? Why do I sound like a robot?
We've got the amazing echo right now.
Okay, I'm gonna remove Lex for 2 seconds here. Are we clear?
Yep.
What is happening today?
This is amazing.
What is going on? Okay, let me bring Lex back in. Hi, Lex, are you okay?
Are we
Are you
echoing?
good?
I don't know.
You try to fix that. We'll bring you back in when we can. Okay, Pete, with your thoughts.
As I was saying, I think if this was like 20 minutes long and they built like this started in 3rd or 4th gear, went into 5th gear and didn't come back down. But I think if you had like a 5 or 10 minute almost like at the start of this match, extra on top just to build it up, then I think you have a Mania Classic on your hands and like an instant classic that's up there with like the best technical. Because this, from a technical in ring standpoint, this was brilliant. It was fantastic. I just want to ask you, where does a corkscrew frog splash rank in like the splash hierarchy? Like, does like a sideways spin? How does that rank compared to a forward spin or a backward spin?
That was nuts.
I was wondering if it was like, is it easier, harder than a 450 splash? Is it like a shooting star press? He kicked out, so I mean,
like
I'm impressed.
It's going
I'm
sideways.
impressed.
It's going that way a bit harder as well than that way. Like, is it doing like a 360 like spinning round horizontally? Is that? I don't know. I don't know where this ranks in how splashes go, because I still think vertical ones look better than that. But it's still pretty cool to see. It just seems like showing off as well, because I just don't see the difference between just hitting a normal frog splash and spinning.
Well, like I said, when RJ and I hit the links, when we hit the golf course off the bunkers, I think it just is our best bet, RJ, to try it and see how we twist it. Okay, all right. Let's see before we move on to the next match. Lex, how are we doing?
Are we good?
I think
don't
so.
know.
I hope so.
Okay.
It seems okay.
It looks fine.
Sorry. I'm like Byron Saxton. Rain got into my microphone.
Is that what happened to Byron when?
Apparently that was the sound effect we all heard during the show.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And we also mentioned the other thing we didn't mention. Samoa Joe and Michael Cole stood in the raincoats at the start of the show is one of the most iconic Mania things for me this Mania. Of just them two stood getting absolutely pelted with rain and going, it's going to restart in 5 minutes. This is unbelievable.
You know what? I do want to say this before we move on. I mean, I have to give props to WWE and its talent because of how well they quickly had to adapt in that half hour of trying to like figuring out what the heck do we do, and just everybody just cut a promo on the spot, and most of the promos are pretty damn good. I for the most, I mean, I don't know, like maybe all of them, but a lot of them like had some really great stuff to say. I loved Kevin Owens. Drew was great. Bobby was fine. MVP was fine. I
prefer these promos to their like normal promos. I love the unscripted promos, and it shows you who do. As I was saying on our chat, it shows who WWE trusts with the mic when their time comes and when they need someone to cover some ground. And it terrifies me that the first person they turn to is Shane McMahon. We need someone to cut a promo and take time. Shane, where's Shane? Someone go.
Where's my son? Where's my child? I mean, I did feel bad for Sarah Schreiber though, because you can tell like she needed to keep the conversation going. She was trying to ask like those random questions. I'm like, how do you feel? And like just all confused and all worried. So bless her heart, she did what she could. But I really want to commend them for again coming up with those promos. I hope it showed Vince that, hey, if you just let them go, they're gonna have fun and they're going to mean it. Because Kevin Owens, I felt every inch of it. Seth Rollins was hilarious, getting the guy's name wrong. Mike, I'm calling Kevin, called him Mike.
Full on Jericho did.
Yeah, Zazaro, whatever he did. I thought it was brilliant. But props to them. But we're gonna continue to move down onto the card. It was for the Raw Tag Team Championship. AJ Styles and Omos took care of the New Day. Omos, first match. First, obvious, hey, here's a big monster. He will, nothing will get in his tracks. AJ Styles becomes the next Grand Slam champion in WWE history, which I think we were saying last week that it's probably why, if he does win, it's probably why he was put in the tag match, I should say, so we can get the win and become the Grand Slam champion. Omos, I thought he was fine. I didn't think anything wrong of it. I mean, I expected it, right? You know, they don't want Omos. Like Omos starts out of the ring, and then as soon as he gets tagged in, okay, I'm gonna take care of everything now. Just unstoppable, the monster. The foot on was it Kofi that he got the pin over to win the tag titles. I'm like, typical Giant stuff. For what it was, he nailed the Giant part right. Obviously I'm gonna want to see where this goes, but AJ Styles gets his Grand Slam moment. RJ.
I thought this was fine. I thought this was more than okay for what it needed to be. Omos did what he needed to do. The crowd liked it. He looked the part. Honestly, I think that this is, as much as I think that AJ could be doing a lot more than this, I could see this pairing working if they hold the titles for a decent amount of time. Omos clearly isn't ready to wrestle on his own yet. No. So having AJ Styles with him at all times is going to be more than beneficial for his career, and they clearly see something in him. So I could see this being a decently long title reign, and I could see AJ and Omos making the tag title belts, hopefully a little more prestigious just because of AJ's name and how they're booking Omos. I don't know. Hopefully. They don't seem to care about the tag titles very often. So I'm hoping they could, get a story into the tag titles if they keep them on AJ and Omos. So I could see this going decently well, as much as I'd like to see AJ in a main event scene. I think this is an okay spot for him, and he gets the Grand Slam. So I was okay with it.
Lex.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we observed, or you guys more observed at the start of the match that AJ and Omos were usually on the typically babyface side of the ring, and the New Day were on the typically heel side of the ring. Mm-hmm. And we thought at first, you guys thought at first that it's probably just because they want the visual of Omos in front of the hard camera. It's a better look, better visual, and obviously they're building more to him getting tagged in.
Have I just been that naive that I didn't realize that was a thing in the last 20 years of watching this company?
I guess, yeah.
Have you not ever noticed that all the hot tags go to the far corner?
Right, because the hard camera is facing it, so it's a better visual.
The visualization of the guy reaching the ring to get the hot tag.
And it's part of being like, come on.
That's another thing too, is Omos did get the hot tag.
Right.
Yeah.
My point is,
yeah,
exactly. And my point, and obviously, the visual of him standing on the apron, being like 7 feet tall is, good too. But like, we observed that, or you guys observed that, and then interestingly, New Day were kind of working heel throughout the match. They were very, being kind of arrogant. They're being kind of, overconfident. Just cutting off AJ, not letting Omos get tagged in. I remember at one point Woods said, "We're effectively cutting the ring in half," like taking like one of Michael Cole's friggin' idioms there. And AJ pretty much being almost like the babyface in peril, trying to make the tag to his bigger partner for the whole match. And then when he did, Omos came in and he did exactly what a guy his size in WWE should do in the ring. He bodied everyone. Everyone sold for him. Woods and Kofi both sold physically and emotionally when he came in. It was just battering them, and he hit all of his moves. He looked dominant. He was smiling and laughing and stuff. Almost like Andre style, when Andre would laugh and just when he was beating guys up, and then he hit him with the big Kali. I think it was the big Kali like choke slam. After AJ did like a phenomenal forearm off Omos' shoulders, and Omos like barely sold it. Like he didn't even notice that AJ was doing that. And then he hit him with it, and then AJ told him to put his foot on his Kofi's chest instead of pinning him normally, and they got the win. So, as far as, debuting someone at WrestleMania that they have future plans for, who could be a big star, both visually and, in the ring and stuff, then I think they pretty much nailed it. Like RJ said, putting him with AJ will be nothing but good for him. And I look forward to seeing, where he goes from here. And if they can hold the belts for a while. My only thing is that if AJ and Omos are kind of going to be the de facto almost baby faces in the match, why not have it be them versus the Hurt Business? Because the Hurt Business are actually heels. Why even take the belts off them for New Day? Maybe because New Day's a bigger team, a bigger name. 11-time champions.
Very good point.
Give them the big Mania entrance. But if they were going to work the match the same way, the Hurt Business could have done it just fine. But it is what it is. New Day is the bigger team, the bigger name. So. Fair enough, but it was good for what it was, I think, and I hope Omos gets better and better.
I did not think of that. That's a very, very good point on the Hurt Business. It's gonna go down as, I think, unless it already has, as one of the more questionable decisions to break up a faction.
Right, because it didn't affect Lashley at all in the match. Like it's not like he got overconfident and Drew beat him because he didn't have his backup. Like it made no difference whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that was the point I wanted to bring up, and I just completely forgot. And there was no sign of the Hurt Business anywhere, or the former members, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander in the first match, and they could have done well. I guess it was just to get New Day on the card. It's a very good point. It's a very good. RJ,
the thing with breaking up the Hurt Business too is this kind of even makes them look even weaker. Bobby's like, I don't need you.
He didn't.
I won without you. You suck. I don't need you.
Yeah, he didn't need you at all.
That's it.
So.
Pete.
Yeah, just on that point, I was convinced they only broke up the Hurt Business to give Drew a positive reaction when he won the title back, and they didn't want them all going, "Oh, you messed up the Hurt Business and stuff." That was the only reason I thought they broke them up, and now I don't see any reason to have done it. I think New Day is the bigger team, and I think they knew Kofi and Bud, so obviously that's not to say Benjamin and obviously Alexander could have sold their asses off, but I think the visual of Omos basically burying Kofi is far more impactful than him doing it to Cedric Alexander, who,
for sure,
bar a couple of mini runs, has been primarily a jobber on the main roster. Like, I thought this was a really fun Mania moment. It's obviously more of an angle than a match. The crowd were into it. They were wise enough to realize Omos was going to get a positive cheer when he came in. And I'm glad they booked the match that way, knowing that was going to happen, because it was. I am very worried that I have just watched a Vince McMahon wet dream take place in that ring. I've seen Omos go, "Ha! Look at him bury those puny people," and just keep going. If they do break up Omos and AJ, which they will eventually, and they'll probably have Omos actually be the one who gets elevated out of that, I'm very concerned for when he gets a singles push, because there is no doubt in my mind that Omos is getting a singles push. When Vince McMahon sees that, he sees that reaction, there is no chance. I could see him having a world title in the next 18 months.
It's going to be way too soon. It's going to be way too soon.
Way too soon. I see Carly signs emerging with Omos, right?
Well, I think the difference is like Khali was like already pretty old when he came in, wasn't he? And Omos is like it is.
I kind of mean as in how those title reigns are going to be looked back upon. If Omos goes on to win the title, because Omos is obviously not an in-ring. He's not going to put on 4 or 5-star classics. He's going to put on slow, lumbering matches, which is fun here. I had no issue. And when he's in a tag team with AJ, it complements with AJ, and I have no issues with them being a tag team and doing it in that regard. Perfectly happy with that if that's how they go. But as soon as he breaks that singles thing, that I am very concerned that crowd is going to go, "Why the hell are we giving this guy a singles push? He can't.
It's inevitable
in the ring. You're putting him over." And when they start to say put him over, I don't know, a Daniel Bryan, an Edge, a Drew, and start to have him beat those people in the same way he just beat Kofi, in the same way Khali did to The Undertaker back in the day and stuff, I think there's going to be a lot of negative backlash if they go that way, and I think they're going to go that way. I love this match for what it was. This match was absolutely fine, and as it happens right now, fine, no issues. But there was a lot of telling signs for me that I'm concerned about.
And
RJ,
that's why
yeah.
I'm kind of hoping they get a nice, like, long-ish title reign because Omos is not ready for that at all. And as soon as they lose these titles, that breakup's happening. I
It's
think.
over, yeah.
And it's going to be way too soon. I feel like if they can keep him with AJ, they can maybe start having him get like real positive reactions. You don't want him. And I think he has more potential than a Khali. Obviously, he moves better. He's not going to be a
He's
good
younger.
wrestler. He's
I mean, it's hard to
younger.
have
He's
less
not going to be an
potential.
amazing wrestler.
He
If
can
he's as good,
speak the language. Sorry.
if he's as good as Braun, that's a positive.
Yeah, no.
But
guess he's-
I think at least on the mic, he's obviously going to be a better reigning champion than Khali is.
for sure.
But in ring,
But-
there was not a lot of signs there for me to say he's actually significantly better.
If they wait like a long time and this does not happen in the next like a year or whatever, I feel like it could maybe gain more positive reactions, but they're just gonna as soon as they lose the title, he's gonna break up with AJ, maybe win a belt within the next year because who's gonna beat him? And then
That's my
they're
personal
gonna be like, oh, this is our new. I don't want to say they're gonna Roman Reigns him, but I mean because he doesn't have the talent that Roman Reigns has. But
No, they're gonna go.
there is potential with Omos. Like people could like this guy if they do it properly. But
definitely.
they're not going to.
Yeah.
If anything, I totally see the whole like Braun Strowman approach. Like, oh, he's big, he's gonna get popped because he's huge. They realize he's a big boy, he's athletic, can walk around, and then eventually he's just gonna slowly turn on him because they get pretty bored of the act. That's my guess.
Yeah.
That's my guess because we've seen it too many times. And Braun Strowman is the latest victim of that.
But Braun Strowman is still a decent enough in-ring performer. Like he's had some very good matches, even like with Roman as well. Like Braun versus Roman had a great match together.
Yeah, they've always
Sure.
I don't think you're ever going to get that of Omos, even if
No.
you're talking 2 years down the line. You're not going to get anything better than a glorified squash.
No.
Either way you do it, you're going to get Khali level type matches.
Big fucking dude.
Maybe not quite that bad, but along that line.
But I mean, that's something that we're going to see down the line. But I did bring up Braun Strowman, so that is the perfect transition into the next match. It was the steel cage match. Braun Strowman took care of Shane McMahon, and I was really gunning for the coast to coast from the top of the cell to the floor, not from where Shane did it, but go up to the top and just jump. That's what I was banking on. I'm like, you don't give Shane a cage and tell him to do something soft. You just don't. I mean, sure, you can argue that the big toss that Braun gave him from the top of the cage looked pretty painful. I mean, it's never easy, especially for a guy his age. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, I'll do it. I'll volunteer," and just be asked to be chucked off by a giant from the top of a cage, getting flipped in the process and landing straight on your back. It looks, but again, like I'm gonna be the first to say, and Wolf can come after me if he wants to. I thought it was fine. It wasn't that bad at the end of the day. I know this was the worst built match of all time. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it was one that I was eager for, like some of the other matches this past weekend at WrestleMania, but I thought it was fine. I thought the ripping of the chain link, well, from all that was creative. I'm like, I never seen that before. Somebody ripping off and just like pulling it aside and just trying to get Shane. I thought that was hilarious because I mean, it made sense. I'm like, there's no way Shane's gonna win this. It's too easy. Braun's gonna do something stupid, and he did in a good way. I liked it.
Shane did something stupid. He reached his arm through the cell.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. So, again, for what it was, I liked it. It was one of the shorter matches. Actually, it was 10 seconds shorter from the Cesaro match. Actually, wasn't
Weren't
that
they
far?
both shorter than the freaking Tamina match in the second night?
They were.
The
The second night.
Longest match on night 2.
Yes, the Tamina match was the second longest
Not
match
that
on
we're-
night 2.
We're gonna get into it tomorrow, but
We'll
that's
think about who's in it.
Yeah. Yes. Cesaro and Rollins. The steel cage match was shorter than both women's matches, not combined, but
it didn't need to be any longer.
did-
Well,
did
it's
not.
Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. They're the shorter the better.
Yeah. So again, I'm happy with it. It was fine. It wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't one that you need to flip the channel on. I'm gonna take it for what it is. And yes, Wolf, I am calling you out because I know you did it, but we talked it out, and I know it's just his gig. But come on, bruh, he's a good dude. Lex, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the build to this was very ridiculous and weird, and no one liked it, and it was definitely one of the least look forward to matches on the show. But for what it was, I think Braun and Shane, they did well. They told a decent story. Elias and Jackson Riker coming out to start to beat up Braun with chairs. He fights them off. They damage his leg. Shane's going to the leg every time to get the advantage. There's not much else really to say. He hit the coast to coast. He hit Braun with like a piece of sheet metal. I think that was different.
That looks painful.
And then he turned out to be the stupid one when he pulled his arm through the wall to mock Braun, and Braun grabbed his arm and pulled him back in. Freaking Mortal Kombat Scorpion Kid over here style. And then I think they went back into the ring and then went back up to the top. I feel like he could have somehow worked it so you go from there to the big spot at the top of the cage. But they went but then he pulled him back inside and then
they pulled him
on the top
of
right?
the turnbuckle, and then he lifted him from the top.
Right,
of the
then he put him to the top. Right, okay, yeah. And then of course, freaking Lion King, long live the king. Braun just throws Shane off the top, and I think the flip actually probably helped him because if he landed back foot just went like this, boom, that probably would have been worse than if he had done the little flip. I guess I think that kind of helped absorb some of the impact. I'm not a physicist, but I feel like just falling back first onto the ring would have been a whole lot worse.
It would be exactly the same.
I don't know. But I mean, here's the thing. Shane has taken those crazy bumps before, but this is probably the first one where there wasn't an airbag or something down there to catch him. He was just flat into the ring because against Taker, Hell in a Cell, there was the airbag in the announce table. With Miz, there was the big airbag thing. He's had that protection, but this is probably the most dangerous on paper one he's taken since he came back. Even the one with Al Snow where he just fell backwards, I'm sure there was something there to break his fall. So, but this was, but it was good for what it was. Braun got back in the ring. People were saying it was dumb that he got back in the ring, but he is the babyface, so of course he'd want to pin Shane. So him with the power slam pinned him, and the good guy wins in the end. So what else can you really ask for?
Yeah, you're right. I was expecting Braun to go over, and I feel like we don't see that anymore as much as
when Otis beat Dolph Ziggler, that was a surprise to people because the happy endings very rarely happen nowadays in WWE.
It's I don't know. I mean, and honestly, I was expecting the ring to break when Shane landed. I expected him to go through it and then he quickly repair for the next match. I don't know why, but I mean, so that's why I'm that looks that
as in they gimmick it so he falls through the ring.
Yeah,
which would that would have been very hard to that would have been very hard to do though because he would have had to fall exactly perfectly to land in the spot that they gimmicked. You know what I mean?
I don't know, but he took it like a champ.
He did, yes, good for him.
So I actually think the ring was slightly gimmicked. Because at least in that point, I think there might have been some extra padding down there because they looked and pointed at a very specific point in the ring. So I don't know whether there was or not, but when they were eyeing it up, they looked and almost communicated and they both pointed at the same spot as in that they were aiming for. So I don't know if there was some extra padding or something down. Either way, crazy bump. Great bump. And that's the Shane I want to see. I want to see him. Whenever I want to see Shane, I want to see him not do any of the stuff that happened in the build-up because that was atrocious. I want to see him do a stupid daredevil idiot thing and then leave and lose. And that's it. That's all I need him for. If this match was fine, it was acceptable. It was it was the best I think I could have hoped for out of this in some way. Mm-hmm. So I still wish this feud had never happened. I think that would have still been way better than this match having taken place. I could quite happily lived without it. The only thing I really hated in this match was Shane dodging punches like Muhammad Ali. That was it. That was the only thing in this match that I properly hated. And as Lex pointed out, I did find it slightly amusing that Braun said, "Who's stupid now?" threw Shane off the top of the cage and then walked down into the ring.
No.
I did find that quite amusing.
Obviously,
he did win straight away, so it was still fine, but it was still not the best.
I forgot about that. RJ.
I thought it was, I'm using the word fine a lot, but I thought it was fine. To Jose's point that you made at the beginning that you wanted to see that coast to coast, I could see that going wrong. So
yeah, I know.
Like there's so many ways he could just fuck that up. Like he could
break his neck.
Dude, but this is
miss. Like
this is a guy who
or worse, he could hit.
Yeah, or he could hit him like Matt Riddle got smacked in the face by Sheamus on night 2.
Well, oh, did I say no? I mean,
You take that momentum off the top rope and do that, you can kill the guy.
Let's not forget that that Shane has jumped off a cell like willingly. He's like,
Sure.
oh, Elbow, I got you, and then hit a
airbag.
That's safer into an airbag under an announce table.
But it's a bigger height. It was a bigger height. The only,
But you're also going in
can
like
see-
diagonally.
I can see him going for it, provided the person who's meant to take it rolls comfortably out the way during it, and obviously doesn't get anywhere near hitting it. So I can see like a missed coast to coast could be a realistic thing to do. A connecting one is just way too dangerous.
screw it. It's Shane. It's Braun. He's a man. RJ, continue.
I personally
Would you put
thought-
your life in Shane's hand?
Experimenting with Shane's life.
I personally thought Shane was going to try and drop the elbow. And then Braun was going to miss, and then it was going to be Shane's actually stupid, not Braun, because Shane could have won, and he did the like Jeff Hardy, I'm going to look cool and do the big move instead. I thought that was coming. What they did was actually, I thought, better than that. I thought that was pretty cool. Climbing down, putting his hand through, waving. I'm like, okay, how are they going to make this happen? And then the camera kind of pans to Shane, and then Braun gets up super fast, grabs his arm, rips the cage open, which I thought was really cool. And then, they did their thing. Braun wins, and it did what it did. I thought it was really good. Well, not really good. Sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. I thought it was good for a Braun versus Shane match. I don't really like cage matches very often, and it was better than I expected it to be. They haven't done a cage match in a while, so I thought they did it fine. It did what it did. I thought I had fun with it.
It was
more fun than I expected with it, at least.
It was technically, I mean, in terms of WrestleMania, surprisingly, in the 37 years, it was only the second time that a steel cage match happened at WrestleMania. The first being in the main event of WrestleMania 2 with the King Kong Bundy and Hulk Hogan. I do remember there was a kid on Twitter. Is this the first cage match ever? I'm like, no, it's the second of WrestleMania, but the first one in the modern era of WrestleMania. I'm like, sure,
Well, yes,
sure, you can say that. I props to you. I do look for nuggets. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna move on to the next match. And this match I loved. I was so happy with it. Way happier than I should be. Bad Bunny, Damian Priest defeated The Miz and John Morrison. The entrances, first of all, were something. I did joke around with another group chat saying that we're going to Dallas next year in bunny costumes. Everybody get your bunny costume. We're going to Dallas. And then it changed to, okay, everybody get your bunny costumes. We're going to Dallas on a big rig. It's just the end. The bunnies were the bunnies. I'm going to start off with that. Just the bunnies. Bad Bunny himself came out pretty badass with the truck. I think some people were then joking around saying, "Oh my goodness, it's Bad Bunny versus Becky Lynch at one point for the big rig." I don't know, something along those lines. Bad Bunny was incredible. I cannot believe I'm saying that. I loved everything of it. The Canadian Destroyer that Bad Bunny pulled off had me in tears. I'm like, did he just do that? Apparently, it's one of the more easier moves as a beginner. Even then, that's still freaking impressive.
It's one of the easier moves to give. It's so difficult to take a Canadian Destroyer.
You need somebody like a John Morrison take it.
Yeah.
To take it, yeah. But still, it's like, oh my goodness, this small little dude just pulled off a destroyer. I was just laughing. I was laughing so hard. I think it was a Falcon Arrow near the end of the match, right? With the double pin.
Yeah.
Again, brilliant all around. And Bad Bunny aced this time as his flying move from the top of the turnbuckle to the outside because he slipped at the Royal Rumble. And you can tell that he wanted to do that just to get it right, and he did. All in all, I actually feel bad for Damian Priest. At the end of the day, I feel bad for Damian Priest because normally you want a celebrity in these situations to enhance the performer that they're associated with, or just kind of like get the partner up and going, right? Like get them off on a good start. And Bad Bunny stole the show. Like that is unfortunate at the end of the day that Damian Priest
focus was on Bad Bunny. The focus was not Damian
Priest. The focus was on Bad
there.
Bunny, but like I said, in history, especially with when WWE uses celebrities, that celebrity is to boost up or to promote the talent that they're with. And Damian Priest, I think I kind of agree with a friend of mine who said that Damian Priest got the short end of the stick because again, he didn't do anything. Bad Bunny stole the show, stole the night. I think in terms of impressive. That I was even saying that my winner at the end of the entire weekend was Bad Bunny for just you can he was getting trained, he was getting ready, that he wanted to. You can tell that he really wanted to make an effort and leave a good memory. And I think this is going to go down as a lasting memory for a while. I don't know how long, how many WrestleManias deep into the future, but it's one that'll stay in my mind for a long time. I know that. Pete, let's start with you.
So I'm probably going to disagree with everything Jose just said. So it's not quite. It's one of those where yes, I think the celebrity did a very good celebrity performance, and when it ranks in celebrity performances, I think it's in the middle to the higher end. I don't think it's like the greatest ever. I don't think there's also been obviously significantly worse by a long shot celebrities. We had Snooki, for example, which let's all forget about that one. But I think a lot of credit here needs to go to Miz and Morrison because they sold their asses off and they made Bad Bunny look $1 million. Because the majority of the moves he was doing is about the person taking the move, and I get that he hasn't had a lot of training, and that's what you have to do and what you can do. But as you mentioned, the Canadian Destroyer is more about the person taking the move. That spin around Hurricanrana is all about the person taking the move.
All right.
Probably the most impressive one he hit was the Falcon Arrow. Like, fair play on that one. And obviously the crossbody Doomsday device at the end is quite a nice little touch. It was good, but I don't think there's anything better. But by his celebrity appearance, I think it was as good as it was ever going to be. I wish this match was 5 minutes shorter. And I wish they'd taken 5 minutes from this match and given it to Rollins and Cesaro, because there's a spell in the middle. I think there's a lovely burst at the start and a lovely burst towards the end. But it was about a 5 minute spell in the middle where I was getting a bit bored. And I think it was just when the beatdown was going on and just nothing a lot was happening. I was like, okay, can we move on? We know what's going to happen. Damian Priest is going to get the tag. He's going to run riot. He's going to tag back in Bad Bunny for the win. And that's what happened. But I think that needed to be 3 to 5 minutes earlier in the match.
Fair. And aside from the 5 minutes earlier, I did think that it should have been a shorter time as the active man. Bad Bunny had a lot of time as the active competitor for the team. And I'm like, you guys are giving Bunny way more time than I thought before the hot tag. I'm like, damn, you really want him to
that was it, yeah.
Yeah, and go continue.
That's it. That was it. That was the exact moment I was on about, is that point where he was just getting beaten down time after time and not making that tag. I was like, we've got the message now. Can we just... And because, as bad as it sounds, Damian Priest wasn't going to get a hot tag. The crowd wasn't going to really react for Damian Priest. No. Like, he got like a mild pop, but that was all you were ever going to get there. People wanted to get to, oh, I wonder what he's actually going to do to win this match. So yeah, I thought it was okay to good, but it's not going to be one that I really remember down the line. It's going to be when I think of celebrity appearances at WrestleMania, it's going to be one of those where I go, yeah, he did a decent job for what they wanted him to do. And it's not going to be like a Snooki, but it's also for me not a Floyd Mayweather, where I thought him and Big Show's match. I actually love that match, in my opinion. So it's somewhere probably a little bit below that, and it's not also on the same as like a Pat McAfee, who really can go in the ring.
It's funny. Some people after the match were calling for Pat McAfee versus Bad Bunny, which is hilarious.
No, some people were calling for Bad Bunny in the freaking Best of the Super Juniors tournament.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that one.
He was okay, is kind of my point. And for a celebrity, okay is about as good as you're ever going to get.
RJ,
so, fair play.
Be the difference in this, because I'm on the plus. Pete's in the middle. Where are you?
So I kind of have some points to make that both of you, I think, hit on the head for sure. I agree that obviously Bad Bunny himself was carried in the ring by Miz and Morrison, but he was absolutely made to look like a star on Saturday night. However, they gave Bad Bunny the big entrance. He had the best entrance of the weekend.
Yep.
They let him do the Canadian Destroyer. They don't let their own do the Canadian Destroyer. They made him pin a former WWE champion, which I know some people have a problem with. He was champion, 2 weeks ago? Now he's jobbing to Bad Bunny. They made him look like a star, and that's exactly what they wanted to do. Why don't they make one of their own guys look like a star?
Yeah.
Well, because one of their own guys, most of their guys don't have the following that Bad Bunny does.
Oh, I totally get that, though, but he's a star on his own because of his following. Like, they don't need to do all that extra stuff for him, I don't think. Like, I
people
think
love him going in either way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are going to love him whether he does whether he looks amazing or not. And fair play to him, he looked great, but they made the match long. They could have gave 5 minutes to Cesaro and Rollins, like Pete said, and made Cesaro look like a little bit more of a star. Because we were talking about that earlier during that match. It could have been an instant classic if it had maybe 5-6 more minutes.
Well, imagine if Cesaro had hit a destroyer in his match.
Exactly, and you know that Rollins, or if Rollins hit a destroyer, you know that those two can do it, but they don't let their actual guys do shit like that. They let Bad Bunny do all this really cool, fun stuff that they don't let their own guys do, and they made a star out of Bad Bunny, but Bad Bunny is a star, and he's not going to stick around. Nobody's going to give a fuck anymore after this. Sorry, I'm swearing a lot today.
No, please, it's okay.
But I'm passionate about the show. I thought it was a fun show, regardless of all this. Like, I had fun watching the Bad Bunny match, and I have a lot of friends that said Bad Bunny looked like he had fun, which was great for the night of. I'm just not sure going forward it's going to matter. And they could have maybe done all that cool stuff. Like, they could have, Roman had a cool entrance with fireworks and stuff like that, but they gave Bad Bunny this badass entrance with his rig, and they could have just done somebody else. They could have done that more for somebody else. That's really all it was with me. I thought the match was fine. I thought Jose is right that they looked like a star. I think they don't need to do all that. Like, they could have done it for one of their own guys. That's really all it was for me.
It's funny you bring up about the move on, because the following night there was a promo with Triple H saying, hey, you did amazing at WrestleMania, it's your turn to do go back to doing what you do, and he gave him like a skull Triple H custom microphone for his now announced World Tour. I find the promo a little funny, because what if the match absolutely tanked? What if the match was just awful and he still had the same one? Hey, you were amazing, and Bad Bunny just look like, I don't know. I don't want to badmouth anybody from the past, but
Snooki.
There, if you pulled off a Snooki there. Lex, your thoughts on everything?
So here's my thing about this. I see a lot of people on social media. Brian Alvarez is one of them. Posting stills from Miz's entrance, Miz and Morris's entrance with the bunnies, and their ears falling off, which is hilarious. And being like, this guy was WWE champion a month ago. And when I hear that, I just think to myself about clearly he was not, he cashed in Money in the Bank and, won the title off after Bobby Lashley, beat the fuck out of him. So he beat the fuck out of Drew. So people acting like, him being WWE champion means he's, should be protected forever. And it's the Miz, I feel like, if this is happening to someone like Drew or Lashley, that'd be one thing, but it's the Miz. He was not made to look like a strong or deserving champion. And I feel like, people expect, having the championship belt, has certain, implications, and that's fair, but it's WWE. This is not the, IWGP championship or anything like that. A belt that some of the best wrestlers of all time have held. It's the WWE championship. There's a level of sports entertainment you have to take into account with this. So I have no problem with Miz going from being champion for a week and then doing this feud with a celebrity and whatever else. That's my first thing. My other thing is, going off what you guys said about, was giving Bad Bunny all this, attention, all this, pyro and everything, was that really necessary, or, because he's not going to be sticking around, did you need to do that? And I do agree, of course, 5 extra minutes for Seth and Cesaro would have been good, but that match was for the wrestling fans, the people who want to see a great, technical wrestling match. And I think they knew, okay, this is Bad Bunny. He's a huge, star right now in the music industry. There's going to be a lot of people watching this match. There's going to be a lot of people watching, wanting to see what he does. So I feel like putting more into the match that is going to have arguably the most eyes on it, from both fans of WWE and not fans. You want to put that kind of effort, that kind of money into the match that, could end up bringing in more fans. I remember Damian Priest had an interview where he said he was at a gas station and some fan came up to him and thanked him for what he and Bunny were doing on Raw, bringing attention to the Latin American community and things like that, representing that community. So it makes a difference. So I think, giving Bad Bunny that rub and that respect, even though, he might be back, a couple times in the future, who knows, but, giving him that, attention and everything, for what they were trying to do with him, which is, present this guy who's a big star to this community of people. I think everything they did for him was justified in a way. I do worry about Damian. what can I say about the match you guys haven't said already? You know, Damien, freaking, you know, it was a little longer than it needed to be. Bunny did a lot of cool moves that, you know, were largely thanks to his, you know, dance partners, I guess. But, you know, how many celebrities are going to be willing to even try moves like that, you know? So I'll give him credit for that. And, like, as far as, like, yeah, Bad Bunny was a star here. You know, there's different kinds of celebrity matches. Like when Pat McAfee's in there, Pat McAfee's trying to look good for Pat McAfee. When Shaq's in there, the point is to get eyes on presumably Jade Cargill in AEW. You know, so he's just there to help get eyes on her. But obviously, the star here was Bad Bunny. Did it need to be Bad Bunny? I don't know, but you know that was the focus. They had a focus, they had a plan, and they executed that plan as well as I think they could have done. I do hope Damian Priest gets to do more off of this. You know, I feel like his gimmick kind of changed when he became part of this whole deal from, you know, being Damian Priest, the Archer of Infamy, you know, having the cool, you know, entrance and being all, you know, tough and badass to, you know, the focus being on, oh, he's Latin American. You know, that's his whole character now. So I do hope he's able to still get something from this. But, you know, as far as the match goes, you know, it was probably as far as, you know, celebrity matches go, one of the best ones we've seen. You know, kudos to Bad Bunny for being willing to do and, or, you know, attempt moves like that. And what else can I say? You know, people had low expectations, and he absolutely, you know, it was an overpromise or underpromise, over-deliver situation. So kudos to everyone. They all did a great job, and I really hope Damian Priest gets to look good off of this.
Two tiny quick points just there. It's just I expect The Miz to be in this type of match, but it's more telling to me that I don't think he should have been champion a month ago. Not the fact he's in this match and your champion was in this match. It's more I don't think he should have been the champion and then be in this match. It should have been not both in that time. It's not the fact Miz is former champion. I expect Miz to be in shit matches. Not shit matches, gimmicky
Sports
style,
entertainment matches.
entertaining matches. But I also think with your point of Bad Bunny and the attention, if this took the 5 minutes out of the middle and still had all the high-flying fun bits, I still think you get that same attention either way, because I don't think the fans of Bad Bunny are going to care about him getting ground and pounded in the middle of the ring for 5 minutes in the middle.
That is true.
And I also think, likewise, if you swap his entrance with one of the fireworks entrances and giving him like really nice pyro and giving that cool truck entrance to an up-and-coming star who's going to be sticking around, I think that maybe a nice little touch as well.
I see what you mean. But the other thing is, I've seen a lot of like mainstream news saying, you know, oh, Bad Bunny has the best celebrity match in WWE history and all this stuff. So they were counting on the mainstream coverage, and they got the mainstream coverage.
Yeah.
So
you still have that match in the middle. You still have.
But if it sucked, they would have said, oh, Bad Bunny, you know, flounders and fails in the ring. You know, I feel like, you know, this was they had the mainstream attention. They wanted to give them something to talk about the next day, and they definitely did that.
Well, on that note, I think those are all some excellent points, but and I feel like we could be on for a while, but we do need to get to the main event of the evening, because I think this may be our biggest talking point. Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Bianca Belair gets her WrestleMania moment. She becomes SmackDown Women's Champion, and again, I like I said, I know I said Cesaro and Seth Rollins had match of the night, but I mean, you could also argue that this match, the main event, was the match of the night. I got to give, first of all, I think there's just a lot of history going around. A lot of history. You know, the first two singles competitors, Michael Cole saying is the first two black women to make it.
Said it.
Just flat out said it. To close a WrestleMania night. It's just there's a lot of stuff going around, and the emotion that Bianca showed as the bell rang, you can't script that, and I can't blame her. The spot was so big, and I'm kind of happy that she did break down. I mean, I know people want to look tough and be like, oh yeah, I can do this. I've been here all the time. Look at the spot that you're in. Look at the history you're making. I loved it. I loved to seeing that side of Bianca. I'm like, good on you. You're let it go, let it all out, and then focus, because you're not gonna get a first time ever again. You're not, and the fact her fans were back, but she knew. I'm happy that she acknowledged the situation that she was in and how big this was, and how big it's going to be for the rest of her life, and even her family at ringside. When she got the ring, somebody tried to hop the barrier to go hug her. Was it her dad? You can't script that any better. And I know that must have been tough for her father to not, like, you know, scruffle with security and be like, let me through. That's my daughter. I want to hug my daughter. It's her WrestleMania moment. Again, but the match itself, incredible. Bianca, just such a freak of nature with strength. The fact that she picked up Sasha Banks after the dive and just carried her up the steps like it was like like a pile of books or something. Good Lord, woman. God, I just love her strength. Just it's so great. The whip with that hair. Ouch.
Yeah.
I one side of me wonders if that was just a sound effect of
No.
of the,
I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
After seeing that gash on Sasha's arm, I'm like,
let me
that
finish.
hurt.
Let me finish. I said I wondered if the sound effect of the whip was from production, but as I saw that, I'm like, that I think that was genuine, a genuine.
If it was perfectly timed. The sound.
I know, and now that was my other mindset too. I'm like, WWE's really got to ace that if they're going to pump in a noise, they have to have been like give that man or whoever the audio person is, give him a raise, let him retire. They're done. The whippings, that was just nuts, and like, oh, you all felt it. Everybody felt that. Again, beautiful. And Bianca just getting that special moment at the end of the night to close off night one. I liked it. I love the match. I can't say anything more about it. Again, I'm just happy. Again, as somebody who really loves WrestleMania, who loves this event, I'm just happy I saw the emotion, because it's just it is what it's all about. It is what like a lot of people dream of, being in that spot, because not everybody can be in the main event of WrestleMania at the end of the day. I know now you can say that they're fortunate that there's two with the splitting nights, but even then, whether you want to count that as a main event or not, that is still a special moment that will never be taken away by Bianca. RJ.
Yeah, so all things considered, I did want Drew and Bobby originally to close the show, but all things considered, I do think that this was a fine match to close the show. The match was really good. I have it as my third favorite match of the weekend, but that's just because I loved two others as well. Like, that doesn't take anything away from this match. This match was really, really, really good. Like, I said how much I like the Cesaro and Rollins match earlier. That was a very technical match. This felt like a Bianca showcase. Like, she was doing some really cool things that like no women have ever done before. Like, she did two separate 450 splashes. One of them obviously missed. She did the other one that she connected on. I know you already mentioned this, the dive to the outside that she rolled through and picked up, but I just have to talk about that again, because that was one of the coolest spots I've ever seen. Like, I remember Chyna used to walk around, with the divas in her hands like that, but she wasn't, catching, rolling through and carrying them upstairs. Like, she's like deadlifting them basically. And then like and then Sasha obviously looked amazing herself. She got her own offense in. She sold her ass off for Bianca. You could see, I saw a video, trending online for like 10 seconds afterwards. She looked so proud of Bianca afterwards when she was lying at ringside. Yeah. You could tell how much it meant to both of them, even though Sasha lost. I don't give a shit that she's 0-6 at WrestleMania. She did exactly what she needed to do, made Bianca look like the absolute star of the night, other than, maybe Bad Bunny. But like Jose said before, and we already got through, but this is a lot of fun. I'm all in on Bianca. Like, I'm such a fan. She's the shit. She's awesome.
And I mean, it just like I said, the point of emotion. I mean, like, obviously the cameras were down and the show already faded to black, but somebody caught that cell phone footage. And again, Sasha, you knew Sasha wanted that coveted spot as well. Because I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere out there, or like she just knows that she wishes she could have been in that triple threat at WrestleMania 35. Instead of being in the spot that she was in. Mind you, she was bringing in a historic first ever women's tag team championship match at WrestleMania, but you knew that she was, and she's on record saying she wanted to be in the first women's main event of WrestleMania. So I feel like deep down, I wouldn't be surprised if it ached her to see that triple threat happen at MetLife Stadium a few years back. But I mean, sometimes it just falls perfectly the way that they do, and I think you can tell that in that smile that she's like, oh, thank goodness it was this. Thank goodness I got this. Because I mean, it is a better match out of the two. Is it the best women's match of all time at WrestleMania, gentlemen? Before we move on,
at Mania, I think it's one of the best two, without a doubt. I think
that
it's between
the 32 one.
Yeah, I'd still have to watch that
32
threat to really see. Yeah. But this match is
wow. I actually forgot about WrestleMania 32. I actually was gonna say I don't know if it's a dark horse or not, but again, there's gonna be some Toronto bias. I was gonna say Trish and Mickey at WrestleMania 22.
No.
A lot of people praise that match.
It was a different era. It was a different era.
It's a different era.
It was the best match at the time. I would say
Yes,
until this modern era.
But yes, you're right. The triple threat at WrestleMania 32, yes, was a classic. You're right. Lex.
And it was the first, it was the last singles women's championship match at Mania for at least a few years, like a long time. There was a drought of singles matches at WrestleMania for women's title matches. I think I could be wrong.
WrestleMania
I remember hearing that.
No,
I know, but like,
it means on Trish and Mickey too.
Yeah, Trish and Mickey. I mean,
I apologize.
There was a drought after that.
Oh yes,
of singles women's championship matches. Anyway,
no, you're right.
Yeah, what else can I say? As someone with a unique perspective, when Bianca Belair was in NXT, I was not a big fan of hers. I watched NXT every week. I think it was more. It started out as being just sort of like, oh, she's a really good heel. She goes around saying she's the best, saying she's undefeated when she isn't. And obviously that's just a heel being an arrogant heel, a lying and cheating heel. And Veal, for a while I wasn't a huge fan of her. I knew she was I could tell she was a great athlete. I could tell she had a lot of potential, but at the time, having that gimmick, I didn't think she really was quite at the level of having that kind of gimmick at the time. Jose can attest that at Takeover New York, I was happy when she tapped out to Shayna, because maybe just because she was a great heel and I wanted to see her get beat. But yeah, I for a while I was not a Bianca fan. But I think coming to the main roster, I think she was one of the, because being at NXT, it's a different environment with a lot of great just work rate style people on that roster. I feel like sometimes not everyone is tailor-made for that environment, but I think she was tailor-made for the main roster with her look, with her charisma, with her everything, her strength. And I think when she came to the main roster, she had a bit of a slow start, but when she started going, when they started doing those vignettes of her just being the best at everything, and I feel like she was kind of tailor-made for WWE's main roster. And I think this absolutely proves it. It was a fantastic match. Bianca looked like an absolute star. I think a lot of credit needs to go to Sasha as well. Bianca's great, but Sasha, I think, could be considered one of the best of all time. Definitely among women wrestlers. She absolutely, she bumped her ass off for Bianca. She made her look like an absolute beast. She was, the whole time she was working as an absolute heel. Even at the moment when Bianca was getting emotional, you could see Sasha a little bit, but for the most part, Sasha knew, she had to be the heel. She had to stay the serious one for the sake of getting Bianca over, and she absolutely got Bianca over. She was, almost Eddie Guerreroing it up. She was pulling on the hair constantly. She was being the lying and cheating heel that I think she knew she had to be to make Bianca look like a star. She did a fantastic job, and she got a really good offense in on her too. But of course, the focus was on Bianca, and Sasha did her job perfectly. Bianca did her job perfectly. It was everything anyone who has wanted to see something like this happen at WrestleMania could have wanted. It was a crowning moment for Bianca. I really hope she gets to, she gets to have the run she deserves to have after everything she's done to get here. The emotion of her dad almost like fall. I don't think he was trying to get into the ring. I think he fell. He jumped so high. He was just jumping up and down. I think he almost fell over the barricade.
His leg was over the barricade. Was it not?
I don't think he was trying to get in. Yeah, but I think he just fell. He was just that excited. Like he was jumping up and down.
It was almost like he was trying to keep himself from going into
the ring. Yeah.
I want to get in there, but I can't.
And then, of course, off camera, we saw Montez Ford, her husband, run down. He was running down so fast, his knees hit the freaking apron. I thought he blew out his quads like Vince for a second. Like you could tell he was freaking gunning it for the ring.
I have to see a video of him running, because I saw the video of just being focused on the ring, and then Montez just kind of slides right in.
Slides in. Bianca's Bianca jumps.
Yeah,
she was expecting to be there.
If there is a video of him sprinting down the ramp, can somebody?
He probably is.
I need to see a video of that.
But his knees hit the apron hard, but he was excited to be there. But just like I said, just great match, great main event. The ending everyone wanted, just perfect. Just a perfect way to end night one.
Pete, close this up.
Yeah, it was kind of crap, wasn't it?
Okay, all right. Let's good night, everybody.
I'm obviously joking. This was my match of Mania, in my opinion. I think this was the best match at WrestleMania this year. Maybe not even from an in-ring, but just from how much I enjoyed it, I guess. It was maybe my favorite one. As you mentioned, the first women's singles match, the main event, the first black main event of Mania, first person born in the 90s to main event WrestleMania. Loads of random ones that you can also throw in. It had all of the history in it. As you mentioned, all the great spots. I love the vertical suplex spot as well. That's that amount of strength that went into that, where it just held it for probably over a minute. The bank statement spot, just roll through. Love that. Sasha is so good as a heel, unbelievably good as a heel. I guess the only thing I'm upset by is it makes me just more upset by the build to this match, because I feel like this had the story going in as well, it maybe would be an all-time Mania classic. But I don't know if that was just the one thing missing from this match, was a reason to be as invested other than it's just historic, and give me a full-on storyline reason to be invested as well. I maybe think the women's match at 32 is better. I've seen some people say it's the best women's match in WWE history. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's on like the level of Sasha Bayley. I don't think it's on the level of like Charlotte, Becky at Evolution. I don't think it's on the level of those matches. But it was very, very, very good. And like I said, my match of the weekend, and that hair whip, it was a gunshot. Like it made a louder bang than the last AEW main event. Let's put it that way. So, no, brilliant. I love this match. Great way to end it. And someone mentioned it, like when the Mania. I said when a Mania match is average to good, you only will remember the main event. And the last closing shot is what you remember. And for night one, when I look down this card, the only thing I think else I really praised was Cesaro Rollins, but I thought was fantastic. But I still think night one was so much better, and it's probably just because everything was okay to good, and then you close it off in a fantastic manner. Give the crowd what they want, send them home happy, and yeah, brilliant.
And you gotta love just the struggle of being Michael Cole. You have a great call during the ring announcements, and then in the finish of the match, he said Sasha kicked out when she didn't.
Oh, I
she clearly didn't.
I was on a call with Lex, and
yeah, I didn't even hear it. I didn't catch it.
Lex didn't hear it, and you hear, and I think Lex. I literally went, "Yes! Oh, Michael Cole, you fucking useless!"
Yeah, you did.
I reacted like that, as in that's how.
I didn't even know what happened.
In that moment,
I didn't either. I was
elation to utter anger within about a second.
Yeah, I was on a video call with my two buddies, David and Austin. RJ, also RJ's great close friends as well, because we were more synced up, and I didn't hear it because I was just so happy for Bianca. And until somebody in another group chat said, "Jose, did you hear Michael Cole's call?" I'm like, "How stupid was that?" I'm like, "I thought it was fine." And then I heard it, and I'm like, "Oh, Cole, I love you, but what the hell?" I think it was just the excitement that got over him. I don't know what the hell happened.
It was when it goes down to Mania main event, great calls and stuff are going to have. The boyhood dream has come true.
The heist of the century.
The career is over. The heist of the century, and Sasha kicked out.
Well, maybe
it's up there on that level.
So maybe on the third try we'll have a perfect women's Mania main event where the finish is not messed up at all by anybody.
It's funny because it's sad that when it comes to putting, I'm sure Bianca's mom is going to be featured in future WrestleMania Opens video packages. How they're going to edit that audio, good luck. So before we wrap up, one worded answers out of 5 stars. RJ, for night one. RJ,
night one its own 4.4.
4.4.
Okay, Dave Meltzer.
Lex, one worded answer out of 5.
4.
I don't think he ever give a 4.4. Pete,
3.75.
3.75. I'm gonna go with 4 as well. Gentlemen, thank you. This is how we're gonna close night one. Let's get to the closing where I will introduce night 2. You made it to the end of the episode. You made it to the end, and that is a bow on night 1 of WrestleMania 37. And I think the length of today's pod justifies it. But like I said, this is split into 2 parts. So tomorrow, because I figured, you know what, let's split them up as well in terms of days. Tomorrow you will get night 2. So for now, all I can say is just that. Thank you so much for watching. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to us here on YouTube, and we will see you tomorrow for the fallout for night 2. Have a good one. Take care.